Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome to our presentation. I'm Tania Cassidy.
And I'm Jessica Fuller.
Before we start our presentation today, we'd just like to give a little bit of a background about ourselves. For about the last 25 years, I've been teaching here at the University of Otago, in the area of sport pedagogy, specifically with an interest in athlete and coach development. I'm also a member of the Football South Governing Board, and Football South is one of the 7 federations associated with New Zealand football. I've played multiple sports in my life and continue to do so, but I've never played football.
Tania is actually quite the athlete on the hockey turf and also is a very good lawn bowl player. I'm a University of Otago student and I'm currently completing my Masters of Science. I started off coaching junior girls and I'm now coaching the Southern United under-18 youth girls team.
Thanks, Jess. So in New Zealand football scene for women coaches is reasonably dire. As you can see on this diagram, only 20% of the entire coaching population identify as women. If you're looking at that performance pathway situation, it's even worse, with only 2 women holding an A coaching license and only 3 women holding a B coaching license. If you don't identify as a New Zealand European, then the likelihood of you being a football coach is pretty poor, with 75% of the coaching population identifying as New Zealand European. In 2021, New Zealand football attempted to address this poor situation of women football coaches by developing their female coach mentoring program. Its purpose was to provide a supportive environment for women coaches to develop as coaches and also career and professional development opportunities. The program was 12 months in duration and it had 6 online webinars with guest speakers. It had a residential component and it provided the participants with a mentor, amongst other things.
So my journey on the female coach mentorship program began with these posters that I found in my email feed and my Instagram feed. After talking to some friends and family, I decided to apply. The application process was fairly simple. I just had to answer a few questions and submit a CV. A couple of weeks later, I found out I was lucky enough to be accepted a place onto the program, and I was told to hold on tight and wait for to be in contact with my mentor.
How I got involved was I got a phone call from New Zealand Football to say, would I be willing to be a mentor for Jess? And my first initial response was, why me? You know, I don't have a background in football. But then in discussions, it was quite clear that given that I was on the governing board of Football South, and that was the jurisdiction in which Jess was working, that and also with my experience at the University of Otago, that it would be quite a good fit. The New Zealand Football suggested that Jess and I chat 4 times during the year, but when Jess and I would meet, when we first met, we decided that we'd catch up once a month. It seemed like once a week, yeah. And we'd just meet up at a local cafe. This is the program that the New Zealand Football sent out to all participants prior to them joining the program. And they had already had the specific webinars and the content of those webinars established before the program was started. In the email and the blurbs that Jess got in terms of the program, this is how New Zealand Football defined mentorship. I'm only going to look at these first 2 points today, which is looking at how they thought mentoring was focusing on the acquisition or the achievement of knowledge, and also the idea that mentoring consists of emotional support and assistance with career and professional development. So if we're looking at the mentoring in the academic literature, then there's lots of ways of thinking about mentoring. I like to think of mentoring as being associated with learning and development. And if we think about how to package our understanding of learning, we can use two sort of root metaphors. One is learning as acquisition, and that focuses specifically on the cognitive domain, and learning as participation, which is much more in situ, learning in situ. So I'll leave it.
Yeah, awesome. So from From my experience on the program, a year later, I've reflected, and I feel like being a part of the program gave me both formal and informal learnings to draw from. Some of the one of the formal learnings would be the webinars. There was a lot of content in the webinars, and some of this content I really benefited from. I'd say a limitation to these webinars is that they didn't account for our previous learnings and backgrounds. So a lot of the content I'd already experienced through my university degree. However, having said that, if someone hadn't had that prior opportunity, the content would have been very beneficial. Another formal part of learning, which I got from being a part of the program, was the residential camp. Originally, I felt very out of my comfort zone attending the residential camp, as I was the only attendee attending from my region, and I didn't know many of the other coaches attending. However, a year later, this experience has given me more confidence and a better skill set in attending and putting myself out there for similar events and opportunities, as I can now draw on this experience from the residential camp and learn from it, developing my skill set. This has given me a sense of confidence and adventure to continue to search for other opportunities that will both develop myself as a coach and as a person. The only slight tweak I'd probably say is it would have been really cool if the mentors could have come to the residential camp as well, as this would have meant I would have been able to network with some of the other coaches' mentors, maybe one from a footballing background. From my informal learning from the program, I feel like my mentorship with Tania, I have also learned that collaborating with other sports, sharing ideas with people not from a footballing background is really beneficial. And I see this as a key takeaway, and I think it will guide how I seek information and feedback in the future. The course also heightened my awareness around careers in sport. When you're having a cup of tea with some of the other people on the course and speaking to Johanna Wood, I learnt and spoke to different people from working in different areas of sport. So I got to learn that there are many roles in management and governance and administration. And this really was quite eye-opening for me, and it changed my feelings and thoughts around the risk-reward balance of working in sport. I feel like a year on though, I feel like the true value from the program hasn't been realised. I feel like as time passes, the more and more I will benefit and see the value. I struggle to put this value into words because I believe it's more of a feeling, and it's a feeling of support and community, and knowing that there are other females on a similar coaching journey as me facing familiar challenges. With this being said, I think it would be really beneficial to have a formal gathering of the cohort a year after the program to see everyone's reflections and progress. I truly believe that I'll continue to see the benefits of the course 13, 14, 16 months since its closure.
Thanks, Jess. While we're concluding now, I want to sort of think about how, if we reflect back on how the Football New Zealand define mentoring, we can see how their explicitly stated aim of mentoring being about acquisition and achievement of knowledge. You can see how it influences how they set up their formal program, and how it was weighted towards the webinars that were highly content driven. But their definition of mentoring and how it's around emotional support was also apparent in the residentials, but it was also in terms of the linking. In many ways, we're quite lucky, I think, but it seemed to be that the mentoring aspect of the program, of the female coach mentoring program, wasn't really realised to its full potential.
Just on that, Tania, I feel like a lot of the information and the most memorable part of the program were our chats at the Good Earth Cafe just down the road from the University of Otago, and I feel like I was very lucky that relationship we managed to build. So I felt confident in telling Tania a few of the challenges I was facing and receiving the feedback, and I think that's one of the key benefits of the program, is building that support network. Yeah, I agree. I think the four formal sessions we would have had would probably not have worked so well, but we had a bit of a relationship because I taught Jess, and I think it evolved that way. So that sort of comes to the conclusion in terms of while the female coach mentoring program did provide opportunities, that mentor-mentor relationship is key to it, and that in this case it was pretty much left to chance.